Good morning, welcome to EduSat Network. Friend, as you know, today we are going to discuss media economics, the topic which is less talked about but need more attention. So I think this topic we'll try to understand in a different way, because you know the major concept of either economics or the market has changed. Traditional concept needs to be revisited. So we'll try to understand the new scenario which we are facing in 21st century. In that we'll try to understand the media economics. And for discussion on this very topic, we have in studio senior academician Professor C.P. Singh. He has long experience of industry, academic and administration. He is an author, researcher, and presently he is a Dean of University School of Mass Communication in Guru Gobind Singh in Press University. And in the last 20 years, he has served in different capacity in different organizations like Bennett and Coleman, Discovery Channel, Fairfax Business Media, IMC Indian Institute of Mass Communication, and Jagran Institute of Management and Mass Communication. And he is also author and co-author of various books, and a few of them I am just like to tell you here. One is the Before the Headlines, a handbook of television journalism that has been published by Macmillan Publisher. The other, he has contributed a topic on the making news. The topic name is the News on the Wave and News for the Wave, that has been edited by Uday Sahai, and that has come from the Oxford University Press in Delhi. And he has been also a member of the core team of the Discovery Channel Hindi style book and the Dictionary of Media and Journalism that has been published by IK International Publication, Delhi. And he has been editor to MIS Stargazer, eminent magazine on the strategic that has been published by the Strategic Publishing Group, Singapore. And Professor Singh has been invited from the different organization in different conferences and seminars organized by the Gartner Inc., one of the consultancy, the international consultancy firm, and known for its consultancy, and the university like University of Hyderabad, Indira Gandhi National Open University, and UNESCO. And apart from this, a number of articles, number of reviews, number of research paper published, about 100, and he also writes a script for TV and various leading magazines, journals, and newspaper, website, and TV channels. So Professor Singh is quite active, also different forum, like he is a member of European Communication Research and Education Association, Belgium, and the other organization he is member of the name is the International Association for Media and Communication, UK. And he is also on the committee on the various board of the different universities and the media organization. So I think his knowledge and experience will help us to understand this topic, and will give insight how to understand the media economics, and will help to understand the media economics, especially in 21st century. So on your behalf, I welcome him for EduSat lecture on this very topic. Welcome, sir.
Namaskar. Welcome to this lecture on understanding media economics, or rather introduction to media economics. This is our second part. Earlier we had discussed on some of the things that we will do a recap before we move on to the new concepts and the challenges that are facing the domain of media economics. And this is what we discussed in the last discussion. Till date, the media studies have largely been dominated by the non-economic disciplines like sociology, political science, psychology, etc. But now is the time to give prominence to media economics, for the simple reason that every decision has its financial impact. And once you factor those financial impacts, those variables, it becomes more reliable. Your predictions as well as your understanding of the interdependence of the different factors become more reliable. That's the launching point for us. In addition to that, we had seen in our last discussion that media sector has its own distinctive features. And because of its distinctive features, the traditional concepts of economics, microeconomics, macroeconomics, or welfare economics, political economy, they all need to be revisited. They have not become obsolete, but they definitely need to be revisited in view of the various factors, particularly the convergence of technologies, convergence of markets, and multi-platform media vehicles. These are all becoming the order of the day and challenging the old tools, demanding revision of these tools. The concepts that we had discussed was what is economics, what is media economics, what is microeconomics, what is macroeconomics, how the invisible hands of market, that is demand and supply, have been traditionally considered the tools to study the various theories of the firm. The other concepts like concentration ratio, economics of scope, marginal reproduction, distribution, diminishing marginal utility, the theory of the firm, the concept of profit maximization, similar responses of the firm under similar circumstances, the market structure, that is profit competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, duopoly, all such things which are basic to the understanding of economics were discussed in the last discussion. The special features that need to be understood when we say that we should have media economics as a distinct discipline is that it operates, media systems operate in a dual market. Dual market meaning audience is the consumer of the content, a television program or a newspaper or a radio show or whatever you are putting up on the website. But it is also true that you produce the demographics and the psychographics profile of the audience to the advertisers. So you are operating in two markets. You are, at the one hand, considering the audience as your consumer. On the other, you are presenting the audience as a product to the advertisers. That is, there are two segments to which you are selling your media products. Add to this the fact that the media products are not consumable, or they don't get dried up in the sense that the other products get dried up, which have till now been dealt with the traditional concepts of the theory of the firm or microeconomics or industrial organization model, etc. They don't get the media products, they don't get dried up, they are not destroyed, and they can be produced in large numbers with very little or almost negligible additional cost. So that needs to be revisited, that needs to be understood in the changing scenario of this new phenomenon. Profit maximization is considered, assumed to be the goal of every firm. It is the case in most of the media organizations, but media impacting your mind, your culture, your thinking may also be operated by certain firms or companies or groups or the government to influence the public opinion. So the profit maximization may not be the overriding goal or may not be the goal at all, where for example, in the case of the public broadcasters, the social cost benefit becomes more important than just the profit maximization of the organization that is running different media platforms. Generally, in most of the traditional products, you pay directly to the seller For example, you go and buy a pen, you go and buy a television set, you go and buy a table or a chair. But in this case, for example, in the case of newspapers and television news in this country in particular, more than 80-85% of the costs are borne by the advertisers. So the cost or the price that goes back to the seller, the ultimate seller, is mediated, is not paid by the consumer directly in toto. It is shared, and the sharing is done in such a manner, depending upon the circumstances, that at times the actual consumer of the product ends up paying much less or even negligible as compared to the cost, and the advertisers end up paying more. They not only end up paying more, but they also, because of overriding influence of the product or the service, have a lot of say. This has given rise to the concept, or rather the practice, of paid news in the Indian scenario over the last, say, 10-15 years, and many organizations have raised hue and cry. But as a student of economics, possibly you would like to look at the economic compulsions that are facing media organizations, and these economic compulsions need to be understood so that the problem can be nipped in the bud, or the problem can be addressed in a more serious manner, rather than looking at just the symptoms which which appear through the practice of paid news. Just to give you some important data that have emerged through a study of the television news channels in the country, the television news space is highly competitive. There are more than 400 news channels across the languages and across the length and breadth of the country. And the market may not be in a position to sustain more than 30% or 40% of the number of channels, meaning the consumers are not in a position to pay for it, and these TV channels, which have inundated the news market, are forced to go for unethical, unprofessional ways of getting revenue, getting money to just survive in the market. Another point that needs to be understood while discussing media economics and the media market is that hardly, in case of news particularly, hardly 7% of the total revenue, that is television revenue, it's hardly 7% of the audience that is for the television news, whereas the revenue is almost 15%. So even if the revenue share is double the share of the audience, the number of channels that are operating in the market are much more. So the market needs a correction of sorts. Many of the new channels either need to merge. There needs to be vertical or horizontal integration in terms of the content and the area and the markets in which they are operating, and so that there are less channels catering to the adequate or appropriate demands of the viewers of the news channel. Such things need to be addressed by media economics, in addition to the other emerging factors. Economics of scope is one thing that needs to be understood before we move on to the current challenges that we need to discuss. Economics of scope is something which is becoming dominant these days because of the multi-platform media products that are coming up. For example, earlier a newspaper was running a newspaper. Today a newspaper is running its own website, and the website is following a different kind of model that the newspaper was following. And the website is not just the text, but it would have the audio as well as video, and the website might tie up with the mobile company. and the mobile company becomes not only a carrier of the content, audio video content, but also by virtue of providing the service, a shareholder in the revenue. These models were unheard of till recently in the Indian media market. In today's discussion, we are trying to address what is emerging as a challenge, and we would like to differentiate between media economics as a domain and discipline and media economy. Media economics is, as economics we have understood as a discipline, is something that tries to optimize on the scarce resources of the talent and other resources that go into the making of, say, a television program and the production of a newspaper or a television show, or the content on the websites, or providing different services through the mobile in an optimum manner to the consumers or the user of the content on the one hand, and on the other providing the same as products to the advertisers so that they can be convinced to pay up money to the providers of content. But media economy is a more holistic concept which has become important to understand, which has become important to distinguish from media economics for the simple reason that there are different levels and different forces in which our media economy operates. The different levels would be that now media industry is operating not at the individual level or the level of the individual consumer, but at the at the household level, from individual to household to the regional level, to the regional markets, to the global level, and to the other forces. So from individual to household to regional to national to global, that is the level at which media economy is operating. And there are different forces that are impacting the manner in which this multi-platform media market is operating. That is the forces of globalization. This globalization needs to be understood today because the markets have spread. They are no longer territorially bound by the traditional boundaries that you will understand later. So first is the distinction between these two concepts. And second, that we are trying to understand in this discussion is that the kind of questions that the media economy throws up in this holistic situation at different levels as well as different forces. It could be social forces, it could be global forces, it could be national forces, and the top of it, the forces of technological convergence, which is changing the rules of the game, both for the consumers as well as for the content providers. And one very interesting thing that has emerged in the last 5 years or 10 years or so is that earlier we used to say news, we used to say movie, we used to say radio. Today everything now has been clubbed as content because of the technological convergence. And also there are many positions, many job positions have emerged in the marketplace. Today you had editor, you had news editor, you had programmers. Now you have content managers, you have content editors, you have content designers. So these job positions have come up in response to the changing market scenario, changing social scenario, changing technological scenario, changing global scenario that needs to be understood when we are trying to distinguish between media economics as a domain and the more holistic concept of media economy, which is responding in an applied manner at the actual ground level to the changing situations. We will also learn in this the macroeconomic and the microeconomic perspectives to studying of the media economy. We will also try to understand how the media industries impact the gross domestic product of a nation, and how the governments are going to play their respective roles in such a scenario where the share of the media economy vis-a-vis the gross domestic product or the total economy or the total incomes or consumption in the economy is changing and changing for the better. We will also, if time permits, we will try to understand the different theoretical traditions which have been till date used to understand the media economy and the challenges that they are facing. In addition to that, we will also try to see what are the additional, in addition to the traditional theoretical traditions in which framework of which we have studied the media economy and media economics, the major theories and approaches that are coming up, that are developing, and that need to be refined to better understand the media economy. As we have discussed a few moments earlier, media economy is more holistic concept which takes care of the levels in which the media industry, media firms are operating, that is from individual to household to national to global level, and also the forces that are impacting the media economy. These forces are the forces of globalization. By globalization, here we mean that the movement of labor and capital, the migration of labor and capital from one place to another across the globe, across the countries, has become not only very fast, but the amount has also become very, very important. The amount has become very, very large. In that context, we consider globalization today, and regulation that was earlier territory bound, that regulation has now to take care of the boundaryless operations of the media firms, and also that needs certain kind of standardization across the countries, so that the media firms operating and having certain competitive advantage in one country may also move to another country to the advantage of the audience, to the advantage of the consumers and the advertisers. And there is some kind of leveling in terms of the costing as well as the pricing of the products and the services that they are offering. We have also discussed the technology impacting the media operations. Technological convergence has given rise to multi-platform media products. The same product can be provided through a newspaper, through its website, through mobile, through television channels, and maybe a radio channel that the newspaper or the media house is operating. So there has been horizontal operation from one platform to another, and the same content is being repackaged, repurposed, redone in order to suit to the needs of the consumers, and also to suit to the manner in which a particular platform, for example mobile, can be accessed, or particularly smartphones in our case, for video clips and text as well as audio. The social forces have also become important. The earlier size of the family was the traditional household family, where the in-laws stayed together, the father, the mother, the grandfather and the grandmother stayed together. it moved to nuclear family, and from nuclear family, now within the nuclear family, every individual is having a specific kind of demand for the media content, information, whether it is entertainment or other things. That also needs to be factored in when we are studying media economy. Getting back to the questions that media economy, understanding of the media economy at the different levels it is operating, and also the forces that are impacting these different levels, requires that we need to address certain questions. For example, whether the individual level has certain impact at the household level, the household has got certain impact at the regional market level, or the national level, or the global level. That has to be understood from one market to another, one country to another, one territory to another. This is important because the very concept of market is getting metamorphosed. Earlier, the market was either territory bound or in terms of competition, in terms of the number of players in a particular domain. Today, the market, the very concept of market, needs to be revisited. We need to look at the market in terms of activity, in terms of what you are doing, what are the platforms that you are having, how are you providing the services to the consumers. So it could be television market, it could be radio market, it could be mobile market, it could be other kinds of market in the media economy. Then the forces, how the social forces, how the global forces, how the national forces, how the territorial boundaries and other things are impacting each other, how the technology is impacting individual. Technology, for example, has provided many platforms, many options to the consumer. Earlier we studied television consumer separately from the radio the consumer of the radio content. We studied radio consumer or the user of the radio content, different from the newspaper content. Today, because of mobile, which can be accessed at any point of time, at your will, when, for what, and how. All such things have challenged the traditional tools, for the simple reason that now one consumer, the same person is reading newspaper on the mobile, she is accessing a television program on the mobile, she may be listening to radio on the mobile or on the iPod. Hence, this has thrown up new challenges to our understanding. And we need also to develop the capability through this study of the domain. How does the macroeconomic phenomenon, say the recession of 2008-9, impact the media economy? That needs to be understood for the simple reason that the recession might have got serious impact in Europe and the American markets, leading to retrenchment in a big way. But because of the global integration of different markets, the Indian stock exchange market did respond to it. The index went down. Many channels, newspapers, which had entered into tie-ups with the foreign media houses, faced resource crunch when the foreign direct investment opted to withdraw its share in a major way, leading to the fall in the share prices and also creating a resource crunch, and that also led to retrenchment in the Indian media market. And that retrenchment that started in 2008 and 9 bounced, I would not say bounced, but it improved to such an extent in 2010-11, but today this scenario might not be as good as it sounded to be, for the simple reason that the global economy is yet to recover fully from the impact of the recession of 2008 and 2009. It is important to understand that till now most of the studies have focused on microeconomic tools, but media economics in the main demands that we will see later how the interdependence of different forces, not only at the regional level but at the national level and the global level, needs to be understood, responded to, and the macroeconomic tools become much more important in this scenario. We also need to understand the role of the government, investment in media industries, for the simple reason that media is an important industry, and media being an important industry, we have to look at its significance in terms of the share that it has in the gross domestic product of the nation and its total share in the global economy. And this demands the role of the government as it has in, say, the steel sector, in the iron sector, in fuel sector, because the significance of the media economy in the total economy of the nation or the gross domestic product has become something that cannot be ignored. It is also needs to be answered, or it's imperative to answer that how, in view of the fragmentation of the audience and also different options that are available to the audience or the consumers, the challenges that are being faced by the different platforms, whether they are understood well, whether they are responded to by way of revising your strategies, by way of coming up with the products or the content that are in tune with the demands of the consumers or the audience on the one hand and the advertisers on the other. We need to have a look at the case study of that is data available pertaining to 2008 at the global level, and 20 countries including India were studied, and certain interesting features came to light. In the developed markets in 2008, it was led by United Kingdom, followed by the United States, Germany, Canada, France. The share of the media economy in the global economy ranged from 1.5% to 2.75%. Interestingly, it is the same share of certain other sectors, for example, fuel or clothing in the developed market, that they have as compared to the gross domestic product, or as a ratio of the gross domestic product. Whereas in the emerging economies of Brazil, China, Mexico, India, this was less than 1%. In the Indian scenario, it was 0.51% of the gross domestic product. That was in 2008, whereas in China it was 0.75%. What does it mean? if it is stabilizing in the developed market close to say 2% or slightly more than 2%, the potential of growth of the media industry or media sector in the emerging economies of say BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, is tremendous. If we look at the same share for our own economy, then the potential is of around 300% growth. Interestingly, the FICCI KPMG, if I am not wrong, or definitely KPMG study of the market over the last 2-3 years has projected that up to 2015 the cumulative growth of media industry in this country would be around 15%. This 15% remains almost unmatched. The closest to the media industry is the telecommunication industry, which interestingly, in many studies, especially the applied research studies, is close to 15% or slightly less than that. So the potential of growth is so much, but this potential also brings with it the challenge. This challenge is in terms of the regulatory mechanism. The challenge is by way of responding to the needs of the consumers that has become so fragmented, and every consumer wants to be addressed, wants to be responded to in a very, very customized and individual manner. That is something which was unheard of. Of course, the technology has made it possible, but the regulatory mechanism also needs to be put in place, which is important to allow the media economy, to allow the media industries reap the benefits of technology, of globalization, of the new demographics, which in the case of India is so fascinating. India is the youngest country in the world. 65 to 70% of the population of the country is young, between 20 to 30, 35. And that is why we see the television content, radio content, the newspaper content, most of it is responding to the needs of this young audience. But the challenge is the people who are in the driver's seat, the people who are producing the content, the people who are in the decision-making capacities, whether at the firm's level, the organization level, or at the level of the law-making bodies, be it TRAI or be it Broadcast Authority or be it Press Council of India or be it the Parliament. Do we reflect this change in demographics? Do we have the percentage of people or the number of people matching the share that is there in the population? That is a great challenge. And a very interesting domain has come up which needs to be understood side by side with media economics and media economy, that is constitutional economics. This domain of constitutional economics demands that economics or the pure economics and their bare principles are not enough. All these will have to be customized or tailored to the rules of the game, and the rules of the game can be divided in two parts. One that is addressed by the politics, that is understood and studied in this domain of constitutional economics, and the other is the strategies, how to achieve those aims. And definitely media economics and media economy would fall in the category of policies and strategies. But the rules of the game that define or underlie the strategies are very important. So the public policy towards media economy, in line with the aims and objectives of the Constitution that reflect the aspirations of the people, not only the people that were understood at the time of the making of the Constitution, of the people that constitute the country today. And it again throws up many challenges to the lawmakers when we understand the different implications of the constitutional economics that needs to be studied along with the media economy, and that is how we realign. For example, there is a judgment known as Keshwar and Bharti judgment, if I remember correctly, that says that the basic features of the Constitution cannot be altered. The point is, basic features of the demography have changed. Basic features of the people and their aspiration have changed. What is basic features? Basic features will be determined by the people, because when we say that we the people of India give the Constitution to ourselves,
right,
possibly that also needs to be revisited at the academic level, at the policy making level. We also need to study.
So we have to make that in sync with the changing times, as it offers the challenges, prospect, opportunity. We need to make something, we incorporate something to redefine or revisit the old concept. Only then we can understand the media and economics in right perspective. So well friends, today we can't move beyond this point because we have a limitation of time. So we conclude the lecture. I thank all of you for watching the lecture. And on behalf, I thank Dr. C.P. Singh for giving such an insightful lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you again on the remainder of what we need to discuss. Thank you very much.